Hi. So, I seen a report, or like Dave Meltzer doing Dave things, just talking shit. Well, not shit, but you know what I mean. And he went on to speak about Toni, and said he thinks Toni's basically being booked like a mid-carder, and this tag thing with Mina Shirakawa's hurt her. I just wanted to give me a little opinion, just ramble about it, because I get what he's coming from. I do. I just don't think it's as bad as how it sounds. I think the tag division has definitely slowed Toni down as a star. But I also think it was a necessary thing to have her elevate because Toni's always going to get eyes. I just think I do prefer Toni as a single star, definitely. Honestly, I think I prefer Mina Shirakawa as a single star. I think as a whole with the tag division in AEW, the women's tag division, it's very, you can tell there's not a lot of natural tag teams. And I feel like that's what hurts it. It's not like the men's tag division where the Bucks are clearly, always tags. Same with FTR, a bunch of other tag teams. And I feel like the women's division hasn't got that yet. I feel like the only ones that kind of fill that mold are Megan and Penelope, debatably. Anna Jay and Ty Mello did. And I like that. I don't get me wrong, I think some of them are good, but there's no real fluency, right? Like, I think the Babes of Wrath is still a bit hit and miss. I'm not really sold on them. And I just think with Toni, I get Dave's point with the tag division hurting Toni. But it's kind of like, what else could you do with Toni? You got to look like from the perspective of Toni Storm come from one of the best American, Western, whatever storylines in female wrestling history with her and Mariah May. And then had a great story with Mercedes. And Toni's not the greatest in-ring worker. She's great, she's engaging, but she's not as good as Mercedes, in my opinion, where she can just, outlast near enough everyone, just technically a marvel. I would argue there's better women's wrestlers than Toni in ring, a bunch of them in WWE. I really would. And I think as a character, as an entertainer, I don't think any of them are close to Toni Storm. I don't. And I think Toni just needs to have that. I think I do agree that she does seem a bit lost. I feel like Toni's stock has dropped a bit in the sense of, like, you got the Orange Cassidy stuff. That's a bit weird, but it's fun. But it's kind of just went nowhere recently. The Mina Shirakawa stuff's kind of just been like, okay, we're a tag now, and there's no real, like, depth to them. It's just pure, and I think that's what was a big thing about Toni Storm in general, was she had depth. And now she's just kind of just, okay, me and Mina are together, and we both say innuendos, and that's it. Like, they're building the Marina Shafir thing, which is it's a good way to go, but I don't think it's as strong as it could have been, because Marina Shafir has to go over in that feud for me. And for her to go over what Toni is now isn't as big a deal as, say, if it was the All-In match against Mercedes, you know what I mean? And I feel like she does feel like just she's part of the women's division now, where a while ago she felt like leagues ahead of everyone, which is a compliment to her. I just think, I get where Dave's coming from, I do. I don't think it's hurt her big time. I don't think the booking are like a mid-carder. I don't agree with that. I feel like it's the women's tag division just is still a bit broad, and there's no real, I feel like it's really exposed the lack of depth. I do. I think that's the big thing with the women's tag. But I think Toni's individual booking actually hasn't been that bad. I think they're just trying to slow burn the Marina thing now. And they've I feel like they've dropped the ball with Jamie Hayter stuff. I think that's the biggest drop the ball. I think they definitely could have had Toni and Hayter be a feud without the belt. I think you could do, the thing is with Toni, because there's not that much depth in the women's division now, there's not a lot of options I feel like you could go for. And you got big hitters, like Queen Amanata's a big one who's injured. Obviously, Tekla's tied up with Stat now. Willow's got egg thing going on. And, like, I do feel like, again, Megan Bain felt like the right call, but they kind of wasted that during the thing. It's like, it is a bit of a weird situation. I don't think it's her booking. I feel like it's the division itself's depth is just lackluster. And it's a shame, because I think the women they've got are all great. I just feel like there's a lot of questions to be asked about the women's division in AEW completely. I think you got to look at someone like Alex Windsor. I think Alex Windsor's great. I think she's a star, but she's not always there. Visa issues, whatever. It's not always happening. Same with Jamie Hayter. Rio's a big one. Where the hell's Sheeta? You know what I mean? A Mission Sheeta, actually. They're big, in my opinion, they're big hitters. And then you've still got, like, Mercedes is obviously, Mercedes is the only one that I can go, okay, she's gone now, like, besides injury. Fair enough. completely fair. You know what I mean? Mercedes, like, didn't have a week off. Athena's still on ROH. You know what I mean? I think that could have been a great option, but still more. Same with Billy Starks. Anna Jay's gone. Sky Blue's tied in, you know, stuff like this. You know, it feels like they're just kind of stagnant in the women's division. I feel like there's only a few that are benefiting from what's going on, and I think Toni hasn't benefited, definitely. So that's where I agree with him. I don't think the booking's been as bad as a mid-carder, though. I don't. I just feel like they're just kind of slow burning everything to an extent where the Marina thing should be a bit more focused on, but because the women's tag division is so fresh, and they kind of want to go, okay, the tag division, and I do agree with that to an extent, but it's also the women's singles divisions are just kind of suffering because of that, because the women's division is still so shallow, the tag, and in general, it's exposing that, so it's a lot of carryover. Look at Willow, look at the Cosmic Babes of Wrath. All the gold in the entire women's division is in that trio. Harley Cameron, Willow Nightingale, and Chris Statlander. That's all the gold in the women's division. And I think it's cool for a visual, but it's also like, that's it, you know what I mean? It's like, I think you could definitely widespread it. I think Mina Shirakawa would benefit from splitting the Town Loves Bombs up. I feel like the big thing they need to do, AEW, in terms of how it relates to Toni, is I think if you get a lot more women, not say just sign a lot more women, but sign a lot more women with tag in mind. I think Hyann and Maya Wilder are a great option. I think that was a great signing. And I know that was kind of a reward for helping them out, but I feel like that's like the right mindset to go. Same with like what Jordan Oliver and Alec Price have been in the men's division. I feel like you've got women there, like, I'm not saying Isla Dawn again is the answer, but she's still of note. You know, and there's probably a bunch of women in other, companies that will be willing. You know, they've signed Persephone to a multi-brand deal. You know what I mean? I think that's a great call. That's someone else. You know what I mean? But, like, these are all single stars, and there's no problem with that. I love the singles division. But it's because you're focusing so much on the tag division. Why didn't you, instead of putting your single stars in the tag division, putting tag stars in the tag division, and then letting your single stars, i.e. Toni, in the singles division and let them blossom? That's what I think. And there's nothing wrong with being tagged. Look at the Bucks, look at FTR, stuff like this. I feel like that benefits that division more because people are going to be more intrigued. And I'm not trying to say like singles stars can't be in the tag. I'm not trying to say that at all. But I think like for a tag, let's use any other tag division, right? Let's use AEW's tag division just off the top of our heads. You have natural tag teams in there. Obviously the Bucks, FTR, biggest examples, but then you also have put together teams. You've got obviously GOA, obviously they're not put together, but they're a natural tag at this point. But then you had Brodido, and they worked, and that worked. So there's still room for both, but you need the core foundation to be natural tag, because at that point it's not that different. It's just multi-man matches at that point, and I think that's the issue. I think that's where the Toni criticism comes in. I think Toni's work's not been bad. I think it's been very plain. I think that's like she's stagnated in terms of hair quality, which, I mean, the run she was on, it's bound to happen. But I don't think it's been mid-card level book, and I do disagree with Dave there. I think the tag division has hurt her, but I think it's hurt all the women. I don't think it just hurt her. I think it's hurt them all. And I think the solution is to just kind of get more tag-focused wrestlers in there rather than just forcing all your single stars in there. And, like, I don't think that's a problem. I don't. I feel like that's something they can, hopefully resolve soon. And with Toni herself specifically, I'm a big fan of Toni. I think Toni's great. I think she does need a shake-up. I think she needs a big story again. And the Marina Shafir one's great, but it's not a big story for me. It's just something like basically your two biggest women's stars that you kind of got at the minute going at it. I think Athena was a good point to go, but they kind of just stopped that. I think the same with, I think Jamie Hayter's the one that makes sense. I think that's the only one that works, because even when she didn't have the belt, but when Toni had the belt, I thought Jamie was the one who should have won it. And then now I feel like you could have that Jamie's way to the title, and the story with her and Toni does mean a lot. I feel like that's, these are the things that you got to think about for me with AEW's women's division. Like, Toni, specifically with Toni, there's a lot of women she's worked with, and there's not that many she hasn't. So why don't we just go into making these big, not reunions, but running it back and making these stories with depth. Again, that's one of Toni's, in my opinion, biggest draws. And frankly, I think that's the thing. What's hurting Toni is she's had such a phenomenal story with Mariah that everyone's kind of expecting that, and it's like it's unrealistic, and it's unfair to her. But her quality has been proven, so you know what I mean. And I feel like there's a lot of other women that kind of got that, like, you know, all the other women really that, you know, not that she hasn't worked with, but a lot of the other women are tied up. Willow and Stat are obviously tied up with Tekla and the Triangle of Madness. So there's a good portion of the, you know, the women's division. I mean, Megan Bain and Penelope Ford. Penelope Ford's just come back, but she's kind of getting roped into what's going on with Toni. Me and Shirakawa's roped in with Toni. Marina Shafia's doing both with Toni and the Death Riders. You know what I mean? So it's like, just take advantage of the roster. That's what I feel like they need to do, and I don't think they have. It's a shame. But hopefully it does improve. I disagree, just frankly, just to end it, I disagree with what Dave's saying, but I understand where he's coming from. I think he's being a bit hyperbolic and a bit too exaggeratory with it, but by all means, I get it. I just think the tags division for the women has kind of... It's just halted a lot. It's kind of... I think it was... I don't want to say it was too soon. I think Toni was underprepared. And I think that's the big thing for me. But hopefully throughout the year, it's only started a year and it's still so fresh, we can improve it, we can move, we can develop the tag scene. And hopefully with a few more additions, even if it's just one-offs or whatever, we can get this division going and have both two healthy divisions. Because it feels like right now, you can't have both singles division and tag divisions be healthy. And I think that's my biggest issue. But, yeah, I get it. What do you think? Do you agree with Dave? Do you agree with me? Please agree with me, because I'm not Dave. And yeah, I will be looking forward to see what they do with Toni next. I think after Marina's, that's where the big question is. But maybe they do her and Mina as a feud. I don't know. There's a lot of... This is the thing. It is shallow, but Toni's proven she's got quality and she can do it. I don't think she's mid-carder. I think she will get back to the top or have the Toni vortex, so to speak. But I think we get there. I think definitely she's still so big, you know what I mean? I just think it might be a comparison to the level that she once was. I think that might be a good way to put it.